to um, maybe you can change the camera just so we gotta do some prostrations, you know, and prostrations doesn't necessarily need to be physical prostrations. You can also, you know, just put your hands like these here. That's enough as well. So for you, Isabel, that is your first time. Don't feel that you need to do anything, okay? Everything is okay. We're just gonna do it, what we call a preliminary practice, prostrations, okay? Preliminary to what? Because we're gonna use our minds here today. So we need to prepare our body. So that's why we do it prostrations a little bit before. So prostration means that we are actually, we use our body, our speech, and our mind on a daily basis. But normally not so much. Hello, how are you? We don't use it so much sometimes in positive actions. You know, we also use it sometimes in not so positive actions. So in order for us to make sure that we are clearing everything that we are not so doing so good, you know, with our body, speech, and mind, we do prostrations. And especially prostration is a direct effect, a direct antidote for pride, which all none of you know what it is. So, but I know quite well. So that's why I know I need to do prostrations every day. So I do prostrations with that idea, you know, because what are we kind of like normally doing is that we are thinking that we know everything, that we know best, that we are better than everybody, and you know, and then everybody's there, you know, and people, no, 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 I shouldn't communicate with these people because I know better, and you know, we do these things. So normally we are actually creating a habit to continue doing that again and again. So prostrations come as a counter counter effect to that. Yes. So that is the idea. And we are not prostrating like, you know, thinking that the Buddhas, our teachers, are going to do the job for us. No, we are actually thinking of them as a source of inspiration, you know, because we need sometimes, you know, we need someone telling us, yes, you can do it. Come on, you can do it, you know? So we can actually, don't forget, we should never forget the potential we have within ourselves, right? The potential for what? For developing our good heart and developing our mind. That's the thing that we should never forget. Okay? So the what we gonna so for us to do that, develop our heart and our minds, we're gonna do prostrations before. So we're gonna purify or clear our actions of body by prostrating. Our speech, we're gonna chant that mantra, which is over there. We unfortunately I don't think we have on that side, no? For people online. And then we're gonna also think specifically, okay? If, oh, may I be able to use my body, speech, and mind in a way that is beneficial for others? That's what we need to try to do when we are doing prostrations. Okay? So let's do it. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Tamashriye Soha. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Tamashriye Soha. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Tamashriye Soha. Very good. Now, yeah, cure. Yes, sir.
This is body, speech, and mind. What is this?
This is what I was, I think I explained maybe I can remember. The Ushnisha. So which what that represents is the manifestation of all the qualities that we can actually, when we become a Buddha, manifest with our body, speech, and mind. So it's like, you know, it's kind of like that idea of that we can become and do whatever is needed for benefiting sentient beings. So that's why we start here, right? It's almost that idea of kind of like like here's like all the activity, all the qualities coming from that, right? And then our body, our speech, and our mind. Mind in Buddhism comes here, right? We'll talk about that.
So before Rinpoche had his stroke, before Rinpoche had his stroke, you would see Rinpoche take his arms like this, always brought up like this into the Ushanisha, uniting compassion and wisdom
Yes.
into the Ushanisha, which I always found so, afterwards Rinpoche wasn't able to control Rinpoche's arms so well, but making that full gesture really helps complete or make a better visualization for me. And
yes, it is true. Today I didn't say it, but it's very important that, you know, when we understand why we are doing that, right? These represents compassion. And I don't like to only use the word compassion, but actually bodhicitta, or the method side of the path towards enlightenment, the path of Buddhism. The method, yes? So the method means is that we're gonna kind of like develop certain qualities, okay? And we're gonna stop or eliminate certain negative habits that we might have, so we can, with our wisdom, which is represented the left hand side, together that will bring us to enlightenment. So enlightenment or Buddhahood, what is the definition of it? Is the completely elimination of all our sufferings and the causes of suffering, okay? And the perfection of all our qualities, so we can benefit others. That is the idea. So this is why we call it, we are like kind of like holding a jewel, a wish fulfilling jewel, as we say. Everything that we want comes from these two things together. So that is the idea. That's why we bring it here. Okay. That's what we're gonna, that's why we put it like that. That is the sign, you know, when some people go into India, Nepal, and then people do it like this, they're just doing that as well, you know, they're kind of like holding that idea here in their heart. So what Jackie was saying is very important as well, you know, and then you kind of like, you're taking all of that effort that it is, that together with bodhicitta and the correct view, you know, the wisdom, we can actually manifest all the qualities for others. That is the idea. Beautiful. You know, today someone wrote me a very nice message. Someone asked me, can we not make prayers, please? And I said, why is that? And then he said, oh, because I feel that you know, making prayers sometimes is a little bit, people don't have a good relationship with the word prayers, right? And it's true, prayers sometimes become a little bit dogmatic and kind of like, you know, ah, yes, like almost like a little, I don't know, cultish, you know? So I had to explain that actually prayers in Buddhism, it's completely the opposite of what we are normally used to. Because normally we are praying for something or someone to go and do something for us, you know, please, please do that, you know, like that's how we are done. Like, oh, in Buddhism doesn't work, because even if the Buddhas, which are all the time wanting to help us, right? They're always wanting to help because that's their wish. The Buddhas only have one wish. They want to help others. They want to help sentient beings. But if we don't create that wish to be helped as well, then, as I say, there's no match. You know, it's like a kind of like a dating app, you know, like that. We need to kind of like wish as well to be helped, wish as well to be enlightened. If we don't want, then the Buddhas cannot do anything for us. And not only that, we need to get ourselves enlightened. The Buddhas cannot do it for ourselves, which normally, you know, is not what we want to hear. We definitely want a pill, or we want someone to do the job for us, or we want something that will make it go away or will make it appear. So that, so Isabel, if someone told you that if you come to this class, all your problems are gonna go away, you can get your money back, okay? So because of that, we're gonna do some prayers, you know, for us, aspirational prayers. Yes, Isabel.
I got Buddhas in my house.
Yes.
And I really want to learn about.
Yes, very good. Best. So today we are doing what we call a Lojong, a mind training course. Okay. So you're already doing a few times, a few weeks. Now I cannot remember. Maybe already 6 weeks or something or more. I can't remember how many weeks we already been here. But mind training is the basis of the Buddhist path. The Buddhist path is about training the mind. That is the idea. Training the mind in what way? We want to train it to achieve happiness, and we want to train it to eliminate suffering. Okay? So that is the idea. Sounds good? She thinks you like it. So that's what we're gonna do today. But before we start, it's always good so we can check our intention or our motivation for being here. Because motivation means that depending of our intention or our motivation, we will have a certain result, right? It's like if I want to have apples, I need to plant apple seeds. Makes sense? Makes sense. So if I want to achieve happiness, I need to plant a virtue or positive intention so I can have a happy or positive result. So why we are doing that? Because normally on our daily lives, we are constantly doing things, constantly, all the time, no? And especially nowadays, I don't know you guys, but I feel that we are busier and busier, no, more and more doing, but we are not focusing and paying attention on our intention in why are we doing all of these things. We're just doing sometimes. Do you recognize that? That sometimes you don't even know how you got to some place or why you were doing that thing. You're like, why I started to do this? Why am I doing that? So if we're not paying attention to our intention, that means that we are not paying attention so much into the result we are gonna have. And normally, if we think about it, the type of intention that we normally have is, as I like to say, has two main characteristics. One is based on one person and one person only. So the focus of our intention, even when we are not aware or conscious of it, is to think about me, myself, and I. Isn't it? It's what we do. We're constantly obsessed with me, what I want, what I have, what I need, when me, what I'm gonna get from this, or that's a little bit of how our minds are playing, the record that is playing in our minds without even us realizing. So that is the first part. And second, what we are trying to get for me is instant external pleasures, isn't it? I'm constantly going outside in order to get something for me. I want to hear nice music. I want to see something nice. I want to smell something nice. I want to taste something nice. I want to have something nice touching, a nice thing. Oh, yes, this is so good. Massage, or I go to isn't it? That's why we're looking all the time. We're all the time looking for that. If you think about it, our day-to-day life, since we wake up until we go to sleep, that is the plot in our mind, right? Oh yes, I need to go to Publix to buy that thing because I like this. Oh, I need to buy that new thing. Oh yes, I need to say this to this person because then they're gonna get me this, that, isn't it? Always like that, is it? Makes sense, Isabel?
For me that much because I get up very early and do a lot of things for my farm.
And then good, very good you said that. So she said that she says that she does a lot of things for the family. Yes, but now I'm gonna challenge you, which I like it already because you're good at debate. So are you not also doing that to these people, my family, my friends, because you get something from them?
No,
Hmm?
no.
Yes, or attention, recognition, right? So if they would not give you anything and be very mean to you, mad at you, like not doing, would you continue to do it?
No.
I know. That is the point. We are getting something out of it, right? For me. And that is the thing that we need to understand. So that is why it's important that what we are getting from them, even though it might be a word of recognition, a compliment, or what we call love, right? Why I'm saying love, because love is something that it's an inner experience, isn't it? Isn't it? Love. So they are not giving you all of this, right? In some level, you are believing that they are giving this to you. You are thinking that this is what you're getting from them. Make sense? You understand by that?
Yeah.
So that is what we need to start thinking about is like, so then I'm believing that I need them to receive these things. Yes? So what we are trying to change in our motivation when we say, let's start to do a motivation, all of this for me first we start doing the prayers. I'm horrible. It is to think about changing our intention and our motivation. Changing in two ways. First, that we not only think about me, myself, and I, and not only these, but start thinking about others. But not only thinking about others, but their happiness as well. How to help them to be happy and how to help them to not be free from suffering. How to help them to be free from suffering. Right? So that is what we are starting to think about it. Because that's what we are thinking about ourselves. I want to be happy and I don't want to suffer. Nobody wakes up and say, oh, I hope I can suffer today so much. Right? Not even the most depressed person thinks like this. So then the first thing we're going to try to change with our motivation is to think about the happiness and how to help others to be free from their suffering. However, if we don't know what that means, we cannot help them. So then we're going to try to transform the other part of that motivation, which is to start realizing that these instant external sensory pleasures that we are seeking like a junkie, right, is actually not real happiness, but actually that we can develop an inner sense of happiness, an inner sense of peace, of contentment. Make sense? So that's why we need, in order to achieve these two things, to develop an altruistic mind or a good heart, and to develop an understanding on how to find and develop this happiness, inner happiness, we need to train our minds. So that's why we are doing here. Okay? So that is the type of motivation that we need to try to generate for being here today. Okay? So with that in mind, we're going to do aspirational prayers, which will help us develop that wish, that motivation while we are here. Shall we do that? So we start, that's fine. So we start with what we call the four immeasurables, which are the bases. What is yeah, we have the prayer book here as well. Huh? People want to see it here.
Page 34.
34, no? If people want to use the prayer book, you can use it. Otherwise, you can just use it over there. So the four immeasurables are kind of like ways of thinking, like thoughts, the four immeasurable thoughts. Actually, the translation, the complete translation is the four immeasurable thoughts, right? So they are thoughts that help us develop what we call that wish to help others. So we can, and the wish for us to achieve a position that we can help others. So we can benefit them. Okay? So that's what we're going to try to do. So we can, for those that already have a Buddhist connection, you can visualize in front of you your teachers and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. as a source of inspiration, thinking, wow, may I become like them. And in order for us to make sure that these aspiration prayers don't become only about ourselves, we can visualize ourselves surrounded by all sentient beings. Behind us and around us, all our friends and family and the people we like. And in front of us, all those people, all the people that we have difficulties with, that we call our enemies. Because they are also suffering. They also want to be happy. So here we want to help everybody. And we try to visualize all of the other people that we are not, is not our friend or our enemy, which is 99% of the rest of the people. And but not only people, we can also think about animals and different beings that might exist. They are all here because they want to be happy and also want to suffer. So we're going to do these prayers and we're going to do this talk today to learn how to train our minds, transform our minds, so we can help them, so they can transform their mind. So we do the prayer together. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And we're going to do the 7 limb prayer because it is a way for us to understand how we can also transform our minds. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merits of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. Now we go to page 94 to take refuge. 98, sorry. So we remember, our wish to not only help ourselves, but to help others. And in order to help others, we need to achieve a state of that we know how to help them. And that is the state of enlightenment, or to become a Buddha. So page 98, we're going to do twice in English and once in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonam la janju bardu dani kyapsu chi dagi chunye kipe sonam ki drola penche sangye druparsho. Very good. Now we created a strong intention. Now we created the seed and now we need to nourish the seed. So that's what we're going to do now. So we are today, can you share the text, please? We are doing the mind training, the Lojong text, which was written by an incredible teacher in the 13th century. I'm never good with these dates. Never know when the dates meet. So the main idea of this text that was written centuries ago is to help us develop that wish to achieve enlightenment, to achieve that state of Buddhahood, so we can help others, right? So it is the main goal of that text, it is to develop that wish within ourselves. And why we need texts and why we need things like this is that because right here and right now, our world and whatever we are doing is mainly making us go to the opposite of wanting to develop that state of enlightenment. You know, everything that we do or read or kind of like say normally, as I said, is wanting us to think about myself only and wanting for instant pleasures, right? So that is why it's important that we study texts like that that are helping us to transform our mind. So that's what Lojong means in Tibetan. Lo means mind, Jong means transform it, train the mind. Okay? So today we're going to do the third verse of the text. So it's a text, it's a verse that is very very special, and I had the chance to receive teachings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and His Holiness was always very touched by this text, by this verse, because it's in some ways is the heart of the Buddhist practice, and especially the Mahayana Buddhist practice, because it says, "In all actions, I examine my mental continuum. And the minute a delusion arises, since it endangers myself and others, I forcefully confront and avert it." What does it mean? So why it is the essence of the Buddhist path? Well, if we start to examine our minds, really, this verse is something that we kind of like can say that the aim of the Buddhist teachings, or the essence of the Buddhist teachings, is not harming others. Okay, that's what it is about. Karuna, that's what it is. So if we think about it, what is actually harming others normally? What harm others? How do we harm others? Sorry?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. We get mad at them. What else?
With our words.
With our words, right? We say things. Sorry?
With our driving.
With our driving, yes, with our body, right? Also, we can even physically kill someone, aren't they? Right? So our actions of body and speech can be very harmful for others, isn't it? But where these actions come from, right? Why do I act in a way that I want to harm, Deb? Deb, I want to harm Deb. What? From the mind. Very good. And then Sharon said, what did you say, Sharon? That we get mad?
Gonna say I say things to defend myself. Like I feel like I have to defend myself.
And why did you feel that you have to defend yourself? Because you got mad at someone, right?
Right.
So you said you used that word, mad or angry or whatever. So then we need to start looking for the root cause of why we say or why we do things to others. And as Isabel said, it's because of the mind. But any mind or a specific mind? Because maybe if I am like, relaxed or kind, normally I don't harm others, right? I can actually do the opposite. I can say nice things, I can do things, can give hugs, I can give a gift. So what specific type of mindset are the causes for us to act in harmful ways with our body and speech? Yes.
Negative emotional disruptive mind.
Yes. I don't know who said that, but exactly that.
It was Bob.
Oh, Bob, you're back.
Until I have to leave, I'm here. Yeah.
So this is exactly what it is. The negative, or disturbing emotions, as we like to call them, right? So they are the ones that endanger others, right? Why? Because when we are under the influence or when we are being controlled by these mindsets, by these mental states, we are using our body and our speech in ways to harm others, to create negative ways, to defend ourselves or to get justice for what we think it is the right thing, right? Or to kind of like to make sure that this person suffers because they make me suffer, isn't it? We are not as beautiful as we think we are sometimes, isn't it? So these are the mindsets that we are talking about here. This is what these verse it's all about, is trying to understand that these delusions is over there, and the minute a delusion arises, right, I need to be very careful, because if I allow myself to get controlled by them, I might say things or do things that I might going to harm others, right? That's very good. But how do they, yes, check.
How do you know it's a delusion?
Okay, very good question. How do I know if it is a negative emotion or a delusion or a disturbing emotion? All of these are synonymous, okay? How do we know? Anyone?
Well, don't we live in the conventional reality? Isn't this coming in, like, what we learned?
I like it. She's totally kind of like making these connections. I like, I was here when Sharon just started, and it was beautiful to see her evolution because she was like connecting things that we were talking in different classes and kind of like putting them together. And I said, wow, this is good, very good. So, in some ways, it is, we have two main characteristics to describe or to discern if an emotion is a negative, disturbing emotion. Okay, first one is that they disturb our peace of mind. So that is something that we can see it in different levels. First, let's start with the grosser level, the body. Think about when you are mad or angry at someone. Your body is reacting. I always say, if you actually look at yourself in the mirror when you are angry at someone, you might think that you are like, you can be able to see how ugly we become. No? Isn't it? Wow. So when we are angry at someone, physically, it's affecting us. Our blood is like, our blood pressure is like, dum, dum, dum. Our heart is like, we are sweating. We are kind of like, even when we are frustrated, don't think about like, oh, yes, because maybe we think anger is like, I don't get angry, but you get frustrated or you get impatient or all of these nuances of anger, as I like to say, they are the same color palette, it's like the monk's robe. Everybody call it red or maroon or Bordeaux or whatever color. Everything is the same palette, So if you think about it, okay, the body reacts immediately. So you are not in peace, relax, or, the body is already feeling it. And, they're starting to make more and more investigations. So the cortisol goes up, the adrenaline goes, all of these goes up, which are things that you can feel that your body is not at ease. So your body's disturbed. The jaw, exactly. The jaw gets like, you like, clench, you say? Yeah, you clench the jaw or something. Wow, that word was very big, So that is first aspect for you to check. But not only when we are angry, we think when we are in love or when we are kind of like, getting something that we really want as well, like we got a promotion or something like that. When attachment is playing, in our minds, we don't see it as bad. right? But if we look also into our bodies in that moment, you can see that you are not relaxed. We have that expression, oh, butterflies in the stomach, isn't it? It's not a good sensation if you really think about it. It's like you're a little bit kind of like tense as well. You know, you're going for a date with that person that you really want and all of that. You're not relaxed, right? People kind of like have a like how do you say diarrhea sometimes of like anxiety, you know, because of like I'm gonna get what I want, or you know, they kind of like get the foggy mind or something like that, isn't it? Right?
When people go to the doctor, they get.
Or they got doctor, right?
Imagine that.
Exactly. Or, you know, when we're getting something that we really want, the body is also not relaxed. Okay? So that is important to realize that either attachment when we see it is good or anger when we it's easier to see it's not so good, they are also affecting, disturbing our bodies. So that's the first level. The second level is just our mind. We just look into the mind and we check if we are actually peaceful, relaxed, that we have clarity, that we know exactly, you know, what is happening, that we are, you know, like just peaceful, or our minds is just like this person is like this, and then she did that, you know. Do you recognize that when we are angry? Or when we are attached, it's like, oh yes, this excitement, right? That we are so used to nowadays that we think it is so good to be excited, you know, the fireworks of like life, and we think that this is happiness, right? So if we look, really observe, stop for a moment to check the state of our minds, we're going to see that we are disturbed. Okay? So that is the first characteristic. Disturbs. It disturbs our peace of mind. Second is that they are delusional. What do you mean? The projection that they are creating about a specific circumstance or situation or object or person, if you stop and investigate that scenario that is in your mind when you're feeling that emotion, you will start to notice that it is 90% invented. Even like now, His Holiness was saying that the scientists are starting to see that the same way that Buddhism has been talking for 2,600 years, but they're getting there. So what is happening is that is we can see that when we are mad at, you know, our parents or our children or our partner or our friends or our this or our that, in that moment, we are only seeing the negative aspects of that person. We forget that that person is kind, loving. He did so many things to us already, isn't it? We forget. We're just in that mind, that like restricted and tight vision of this person is like this and na 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 da 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 da, and I'm just projecting those bad qualities in that person. Or when I am attached, I'm doing the opposite. I'm like, this person is amazing, beautiful, and they don't do anything. They smell good, they do good, everything is amazing. No? Or not only with people. Oh yes, Casamaya, the burrito of Casamaya is gonna be amazing, delicious, and all of that, right? That's what we do. So we completely, if we stop in that moment to analyze the object or the person or the situation, the experience, or the best way to see that how we are completely delusional in this is when we are planning our vacation, right? Because the vacation is going to be amazing. Oh my God, I'm going to see this and visit that and that. You know, we are already like, wow, it's going to be amazing. So that we can see it's already delusional. Why? Because nobody's that perfect. Nobody's that handsome 24/7. Nobody's that smell good 24/7, right? Just Rinpoche that used to smell good at 24/7. So you know, or the burrito is not gonna be nice every time I go to Casa Maya, right? Because maybe the chef changed, they didn't have that and all of that, or maybe I'm not that hungry, right? all of these situations change. So therefore, that is a idea that will like make us understand that is a negative emotion. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. You were going to say something, dear.
Well, I was just, what, the feeling I had when you were talking about that person is that the person is, I'm blaming the person for interrupting my equanimity. You know, you know, they disturb peace of mind.
Yes.
And that makes me angry. That's all I'm thinking about.
Yes, because remember we said it is a mental state that is concerned also only about ourselves, right? That is one of the other characteristics of it.
That's right, because that one of the things that I do, I think, pretty human, is that we don't stop and think about where the person is coming from.
No.
All we think about is
How it is
how we're-
affecting me. Really? So that is another thing that is also very important is as a characteristic is that, but that in a way is the main aspect of our minds 24/7, which is what, as I said, what is in it for me, right? That's how it is. Isn't it? What is in it for me? That's what we say. Yeah, that's it. You know, so it's like that situation, what is in it for me? That situation, how is that person affecting me? Right? So that is also an idea. So how do we distinguish that from a positive emotion? Positive emotion gets first the opposite of these three characteristics. First is directed towards others, right? So it's not only concerned about me. Second, it doesn't create disturbance, but quite the opposite. It creates openness. You know, that feeling of like of a of relaxation, of kind of like of having the like the literally the heart, the warm heart, right? Of saying, wow, like I'm so happy because that person, or like, wow, that person is so nice. Or you know, that appreciation, or when you give something to someone that you really wanted that person to have that, you know, you're so happy, right? That feeling. And then is based in a more realistic view. What does it mean? It means that understands that the the balanced view of that person, the balanced view of that object, that balanced view of that situation. That means that person is not only bad or not only amazing, handsome, good smell 24/7. That person has these and these issues and these that, and I still love them and like them, right? So that is how we can start realizing, you know, discerning the difference between them. So that is why the basis, as it says in the text, is what? What we need to know in order to do that. Examine our minds, or mental continuum, as we call, right? We need to be examining it and not just being the autopilot, completely kind of like sleeping mode that we normally are, and not paying attention in what type of emotions are dominating us, right? Because this is exactly what we need to start understanding, is that if we don't pay attention and we don't examine what is going on, we are endangering ourselves, right? Why? Because when we are under the influence of negative emotions, we are suffering, right? Right? We are suffering. And not only this, there is another aspect of the negative emotions that is also, well, any emotion, okay? Because this is a quality of our mind, is that we are habitual beings, as the Dalai Lama likes to call us. That means that the more I allow a certain emotion to be in my mind, the more I habituate myself to experience it. So the more I habituate myself to be kind, compassionate, loving, all of that, the more I become, the more I have the tendency to actually do it. The opposite as well. The more angry, the more attached, the more jealous, the more like, impatient, whatever, low self-esteem, depressed, whatever you want to call it, the more I actually engage myself into do it. So that's how we endanger ourselves. If we don't examine our minds and we allow these delusion, negative, disturbing emotions to arise. Okay? So what do we do? Because unfortunately, we have been habituating ourselves again and again and again and again with them, right? As I like to say, feeling angry when you are driving and someone cuts in front of you and immediately you get, it's effortlessly, right? Just, we don't need any effort to feel like that, isn't it? If someone screams at you, calls you names, say that you did that or blah, 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 effortlessly, without any effort, it comes, isn't it? The anger, the impatience, the na na. Yes, it's kind of like it's a net. We say it's just natural, no? It's in a way. It's not natural in the way that it's part of who we are now, but it doesn't have to. That is the idea. Okay? So, but the opposite, feeling love, compassionate, kindness, it's a bit of an effort sometimes, right? Maybe not towards our friends, our family, it's a bit easier. But we are talking here about all sentient beings, remember? We are trying to expand our love, our compassion, our kindness, our good qualities, our positive emotions towards all. So we need to start really paying attention, okay? To them, to what it is, the aspect that we are kind of like feeding in ourselves. So we can discern and then decide what we're going to do. So, sorry.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to share.
No problem.
But what's coming to me is that to create a habit of goodness and passion, that's where attention is so crucial. Because
Mhm.
it's a conscious intention that comes, whereas in most cases, the habituation of the negative
Mhm.
is just
Mhm.
unconscious.
Very good. Very good. This is super important. I don't know if the people online were able to listen to
Steve,
Steve. What did you call him? I remember.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I was going to say Steve. Steve, because it is the intention is the basis, and intention is exactly the aim of this text, right? And I totally agree with what you say, and that's why it starts with in all actions, right? So that means that in all actions, it is already implied that there is an intention behind it all. So intention is the basis. However, here what he's talking a little bit more about, and I loved when I was reading a few years back commentary of His Holiness on this text, and His Holiness says something that, to be honest, I haven't seen so much in other texts and in other commentaries about it, because he was talking about the manifested negative emotions, the manifested delusions, the manifested disturbing emotions. What does it mean? Because it's so important to discern that aspect, because normally we Buddhists, we have a tendency to think that we shouldn't be feeling these things. And I'm sorry to say, yes, it would be good for us not to feel these things because we endanger ourselves and others. However, due to habituation, we still feel them. Okay? Therefore, when what it is talking about here in this text and in this verse is talking about the manifested delusions, meaning that I was unaware of my unconscious in the way of unaware. I'm going to use this phrase, unaware of my intention, and therefore the negative emotion arise. Okay.
When you're aware of it, you can make a choice.
Then what we can do, that's exactly the last line of the verse, what is telling us how to deal with that, right? Because as we just said, yes, we can make a choice, but because due to habituation, we don't have that much of a choice, right? It arises spontaneously. However, what we are trying to train is that continuity of habituation to just allow it, right? For it to arise and for us to then endanger ourselves and others. How do we do that? By forcefully confronting it. So, what does it mean to forcefully confront it? To do exactly what I said to Jack, which means we start to really confront the 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 projection, the idea, we start to confront it in the way that it is appearing as a normality or as good or as a kind of like enjoying being under the influence or the control of these minds. So confronting forcefully means telling or making ourselves aware of the negative qualities of these emotions, understanding the characteristics of it being negative for my body, negative for my mind, negative for myself, negative for others. Because if I don't see their negative aspect, I won't do anything about it, right? It's like if you have an addiction. If you don't see that you have an addiction, if you don't see that that addiction is negative for you can see the addiction. You can say, I know that I gamble, I know that I drink, I know that I use drugs, I know that I whatever. But if I don't see the negative aspect of it, how it is endangering and harming me and others, you don't have the wish to transform it, isn't it? I think it's simple. It's just meant like cause and effect. That's it's not Buddhist thing. It's just how we are. It's our mind, right? So if we don't see it, if we don't confront it, that's what it means confronting here. Okay? Confronting means seeing it is as bad, as negative. Because I've heard someone recently, I'm giving a series of talks to a group in Europe, and one person there on Wednesday, she came to me and she said, I like to be angry. Anger kind of like pushes me to do things. And I kind of like, I was a bit trying to understand what she was coming from. And I kind of like, I understood and I said, that's true. Sometimes you are like, kind of like, lazy or you're doing something or. And then I remember when I was a kid, I was like just watching TV and I one day, and my mom used to started, you need to clean your room, 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 until I exploded in anger and said, I want it, I don't want it, and then I would go and do it. Right? You recognize what I'm talking about? That we think that there is a good aspect sometimes of these negative emotions, especially when we are enslaved or we are controlled by them, right? Think about it. We can be very mean and thinking, oh yeah, this person, I'm gonna do that, and this person is gonna see how you know what because they did that to me, and then. We are enjoying it. We are feeding it. And sometimes we stay days, hours, days, weeks, years, right? I was in the Dharma center, a Buddhist center, that a person came to me and I said, oh, we should invite that person to come. And they said, no, 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 I don't talk to them. And I said, why? Oh, because 30 years ago they said this and this to me. And I said, oh my Buddha, right? We feed our anger. Why? Because we don't see it as negative, because we don't confront it, right? We just exactly we feel justified in that. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
I feel like anger is like a good justification for your ego
That's
to
it.
To keep existing.
Exactly. And not only the ego to keep it existing, but for us to get what we want, for the ego to get what it wants, right? So it's like, I don't want to feel kind of like ashamed or this or that, so I'm going to be angry and get what I want, isn't it? So that is very tricky, because that is the problem that we have it, is that if we don't see it as wrong or as negative, as harmful to myself and others, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to allow that habit to continue. You want to say something, Sweeter?
Yeah, there is like a story about a monk who had been meditating
Yes.
and he's like in his sponsor's house. You can probably tell it better.
Go on, go on, go on.
And so he's been meditating for a very long time and he's been like really working on his mind. So he's in his sponsor's house and he is like looking around and then he calls thief, 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 and everyone comes running and he had like this thought. I think he maybe was a former thief, like actually a former thief. And so he saw the thought in his mind, how nice that thing would be. Whenever the thought, however the
Yes.
story goes, he saw the thought and he just called it. And for him, you know, he called it out for everyone. Thief. And they came in there and he's like, I'm the thief.
Yes.
But he's taken nothing.
Yes.
And then I think it's the same story. I think, same monk, where he's, you know, he's watching this food get prepared, you know,
Mhm.
and he is kind of salivating over everything that he sees. And by the time it gets served to him, he says, no, thanks, I've already had mine. Because he's seeing in his mind how much he was just like, couldn't wait to get everything on the table. And so instead of giving into that, I don't think we need to be that extreme, but it helps me to think of like, even to myself, like say what it is, like, oh, I'm like having jealous thought like that, like,
Yes.
like naming
Yes,
it.
naming it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the part of confronting. And all of these examples that you give, you know, that he called thief or he said, no, I already have it. That is what we call the averting it. The averting part means to counteract it, to utilize an antidote. Okay? So an antidote is something that is going to go against that kind of like negative emotion. So for example, you know, it can be something extremely physical or even a, like say something or, you know, or to say, oh, no, 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 I already had food, or, you know, because you could see your kind of like grasping and like, you know, oh, I want that delicious food, or, you know, it can be anything that will stop, will counteract literally that thought, that emotion, that action to be completed, to continue in your mind, right? So what we talk about is that we talk about, for example, using antidotes for the negative emotions. So for example, anger, we talk about especially patience, right? And then as Steve said, that we start to think about it, wait a minute, maybe this person is not having a good day and this person is like this, you know, maybe it's not that because I am that way, but because maybe they are not okay and da 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 da. And then the best, the most strong, the stronger the altruistic or the compassion's mindset that we use to actually cut, you know, and avert really that part, that negative emotion, the stronger it becomes, you know, the easier it becomes. Because if we start to think about, oh, but this person is actually maybe in a not a good way, and they said to me that they were not well, and da da da, and then, you know, and I start to think, wow, I hope that they are not like this, you know, then you forget about your own problem, you know, why you were angry at them and all of that, and you already started thinking about how to help them, right? So that is the power of the mind, to transform it, to change it, to train it in this way. That is the goal of this. And that is the goal, the entire goal of the Buddhist path, right? It is to transform from this negative to a positive one. So that's why we call the antidote as, you know, trying to bring a positive quality, a positive emotion to do it. And if it is too strong and can't really thinking about it because you're just like, no, but now I understand, yes, maybe they are not, but they did that to me and they shouldn't have done and all of that. Then you do something, There's a beautiful text called the Bodhisattva Charavatara, which is called the Bodhisattva's way of the Bodhisattva way of living, or the way of the Bodhisattva way of life. Yeah, so many translations to the same thing. And over there, Shantideva, the 7th century master, and he used to say, there's so many ways for you to train your mind. For example, if it is too much and the person is screaming at you and all of that, stay as a log of wood, stay as a piece of wood. Just don't do anything, right? Or when someone is telling, screaming or anything, and it becomes, you can see anger is coming up, walk away. The Buddha actually said that as well. So what does it mean? It means that Dharma is not an external training. It's not like you go to the gym and then you say, oh, yes, I want to have muscles. So again, I do. Oh, but I want to have muscles in my legs. So I do these exercise. It doesn't have an external exercise necessarily. It's more about the internal mind. It's about transforming your mind and you using everything in your ability and whatever it is there in your body, speech, and mind and surroundings to avert, to confront, to stop you from allowing these delusions to continue to arise, to endanger yourself and others. Then, if you use that with that intention, your life becomes Dharma. Everything that you do can become Dharma, can become mind training, can become transforming your mind because you just use whatever is there, right? So you can see that you say, oh, you start calling the thief, whatever, or you say, no, I'm not gonna eat, or you say, or you do this, or you whatever it might be. That your mind well enough to see that you're like, oh, I'm falling into this rabbit hole, of my mind getting angry, getting this, getting that. What do I need to get out of there? That's why, we say that the Buddhas cannot save us because we need to save ourselves. Right? So that is the essence, the most important kind of like understanding of the Buddhist path. It is about that. It's about understanding that there is an intention and understanding that if we don't examine our minds, that intention will just play along. And we're going to allow then delusions to arise. And therefore, we're going to endanger ourselves and others, creating habitual patterns and habitual aspects that is just going to make us suffer again and again and again and again and again and again. So the Buddhist path is saying, I want to stop this. That's what the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught it to say there is a way out of this continuity of suffering. There is a way to eliminate it. How do we do that? We eliminate the delusions. And we nourish, we develop, or we nourish, develop, or whatever we use to say, the good qualities, the positive emotions. Yeah, makes sense. Does it make sense what we're discussing? Because that's why honestly I love these actually the first talk that I gave to Kunga Ling was a series of 3 or 4 teachings on a Saturday or something like that. I think Nicole was the director at the time, all due to the kindness of that woman over there, Jackie, which kindness, but also craziness, because I don't know how or why she thought that I could do something and give a talk or whatever. But, she was the crazy one who said, you should invite Cowden. And I say, Jackie, you need to stop doing this because, they're going to see that I don't know anything. So it was about this beautiful verse that is very similar to that, right? That it talks about the essence of the Buddhist path, that it is to say, that like to transform the mind, we need to transform our minds by eliminating our delusions and increasing our positive qualities. That is the essence. If you want, so you get, I mean, the best day to understand the essence of the Buddhist path.
Yeah. Yeah, but then I want to do things for that, we have to improve ourselves,
Mhm,
check this exam.
mhm. He's a guide, he's just a teacher telling us, like, look, I've done this way, you try. But more than just saying, you should do this way, you have to do this way, the Buddha used to say, don't believe in anything I say, try it, right? Experience, check, investigate, analyze, They used to say it in a much better and beautiful way, comparing it with gold. If someone gives you gold, you need to rub it and to burn it and to whatever kind of like do it to check if that gold it is, true. It's, if you say to me, okay, you need to pay me, and I say, oh, I'm gonna give you this gold, you need to check if this gold has value, right? So it's the same way, the Buddha is giving us this value thing, which is the Dharma, but we need to check if it is, because just because this person is telling me it's valuable, I don't know if it is. So we need to try for ourselves. And the Buddha, and especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, says all the time, if it works for you, you apply to your mind. If it doesn't, let it go. And I like to say, it doesn't mean that just because something is complicated or we don't understand, or it doesn't make so much sense now, we should eliminate completely. I like to say, put it on the Buddhist shelf, put it over there, leave it there, marinating, checking if it is gonna, and then eventually you start to learn more and this, that, and then things start to a little bit like I would say about Sharon, sometimes she used come and, yeah, we would say things and I could see her face like, what is he talking about, And she would just put it there. And then another class, 3 classes later, she would be like, oh, she would take out from the shelf and say, now it makes sense, right? So that is, I think, the good approach. That is a very good approach, because there's curiosity. There's no such thing as blind faith, because it doesn't work in Buddhism, right? And there is investigation, inner investigation, because the Buddhist path and the Dharma is an internal method, is an internal science, as I like to put it, right? It's you applying those concepts to your own mind and seeing the benefit of it. Because I can say to you, oh yes, it's amazing, you should meditate and see that and do that, but if you don't do it, it's not going to change anything on your experience, right? So that is the goal, is to really use this text and to get inspired from a text that has been going on for centuries and seeing how that has manifested and how that's helped so many beings. And if you want, it can also help you, but it depends on you, right? Depends on you. So that's why I like to say is a training, ing in the end, right? So it means that you need to be doing it, right? Not just kind of like, oh, okay, I heard everything, I came, I stayed here in the center for 2 hours, 1.5 hours, I done, I can go home and then everything's gonna be okay. No, no, no. Now that you guys listen to this, now the work starts. Because now, as I like to say, honest, being a Buddhist is quite a lot of responsibility. Because now you start to understand a few aspects of your mind and the minds of, of everybody, your own, and you start to be a little bit more responsible. Because you cannot say, oh, but and then you say, well, you do it. And then what happens to us is that when this happens, we come with the whip. And we start, oh, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad Buddhist, I'm a bad monk, and that's how it goes. That also not good. Why? Because then is not understanding habitual patterns, habitual tendencies, karma, as we call it. Because if we understand it, we understand that these mental states, they are so ingrained in our mind that even if we hear these and we check how we can do it, it doesn't mean that we're not going to fall. We're still going to fall, you know? We're still going to slide, as I like to say, you know? We just slide on them, you know? It's like that there's a joke that this guy was walking and then, you know, every day he's walking the same path and then he sees a banana peel, you say, yeah? And then he looks and he says, oh, wow, I'm probably gonna slip, you know, if I kind of like step on it, and then he steps and then he slips, you know, and then you know he just continues like that until someone says, "Well, you don't have to," right? But it means that we need to make an effort. We need to forcefully. That is the word that is there. Forcefully. We need to understand that there is in the beginning, like everything, we need to use force. Force for please don't understand that force means physical force. Okay? It means self-discipline, right? Self-discipline. That's what discipline means. And that's also for me, forcefully, also it's equal to self-compassion. Does it make sense? Why self-compassion? Because if you understand how allowing these habitual patterns to go, to continue, is making you suffer, and using a strong energy to confront and avert these mental states, this is self-compassion for yourself. Okay? Any questions? Online people, how are you guys doing? Alive? Christopher? Yes. Leo, alive? Yes. Okay, good.
How does-
Yes, Jack.
That is like the negative emotion that's rising up, the delusion is unvirtuous. How does a virtuous emotion rise up at the same time to avert it? Not both at the same
It
time.
doesn't work at the same time because we can only have one emotion at a time, right?
The confusion.
So that is the confusion. So what we're going to do is that we're going to kind of like, let's say that the negative emotion, the anger is there, and I'm just in the story of like, but that person, they kind of like, you know, they said this to me and blah 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 blah, and I'm just that, no. And then I examine my mind and I say, wait a minute, right? Wait a minute. Let me stop here for a moment. How do I do that? By habituating, yeah? Habituating my mind to examine my mind, right? So I need to start doing that. That's the point of meditation. That's what mindfulness can help us with, right? To be mindful, to just be aware that it's like, wait a minute, you know, this looks a little bit kind of like I start to see my hand sweating. I start to see the signs, let's say like that. Okay. So then I can examine my mind and say, oh, I'm angry at this person. Okay. This is really not helping me. Yeah, but I don't care, you know, because they did that to me. And then, you know, and then what do? You say, then you know for 10 minutes you continue with like yes, 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 yes. And then you say, wait a minute, no, but like, you know, Cowden said that I should investigate and see if this is not really nice, you know, but I can see that I'm not relaxed. You know, I had so many things to do and I didn't do anything, you know, or I just ate my dinner and I didn't even remember what I had because I was just in the story, no. So wait a minute, like, let me see. Oh, wow, this is no good. Whoa, look at me. The person is not even here. The person doesn't even know that I'm angry at them. The person is having their life super well. And I'm here having a, sorry, the use of the word, a shitty night, you know, a shitty experience because just in my mind. So then I start to say, okay, I cannot do that. You know, I cannot do this anymore. Okay, wait a minute. So let me start to trying to make that story, that projection to break. So I start to say, well, yeah, that person did that, but they are also nice to me, or they did that to me, or maybe it's a person that I don't know, so maybe they are not having a good day, or maybe a cashier at the supermarket was the person, and you start just think about it, well, they are there for hours and hours. They cannot do anything. They cannot do that. They having people coming to them and say, I want this, I want that, no, 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 but this is not the price. I saw it over there. No, no, no. You know, so you start to say, wow, if I was in that shoes, I would going to be completely nuts out of my mind. And they are nice to me, or maybe they were a little bit not so nice. That's okay. So you start to counteract, to really bring these positive ways of thinking, which are going towards, confronting. There's an amazing word in Spanish that both of you will know. That is, but is counteract is the word. It's contrarrestar. No, is in Spanish. Is that use of counteract? Counteract means to go against it, right? So you go against that mind that it looks so like concrete in your mind, which is making you suffer. So that mind, when that mind is there, the mind of anger cannot be, right? So then, if you don't use it so much, then it comes again, say, I don't care, I want to be angry, then you go back. So you go like that, changing, interchanging, interchanging these minds, you know. So normally the negative emotions, they are more habituated, so they stay a little bit more. But with time, we go training, and then these positive ones start to get stronger, easier and easier, and you see the benefit. You start to see, wow, I used to be angry for 10 hours, and now I'm just angry for 8. That's fine. That's okay. Yes, baby steps. So then you go like that slowly, and then you see the benefit, and then you get, yes, I want that more, right? That's how it is. There's no kind of like easy fix. Okay? So that is the idea. Yes, Dad.
I know you're talking about anger, but say attachment, like, I think about like, I want my nephew to call, he has to call me, and that, how do you like sit with that to confront it and
Yes.
find it to,
Yes.
like, it seems like, yeah, like, I'm using love to think about, like,
Yes.
he's working so much, why would he want to call his aunt when he has some free time? Like,
I don't think it's just like thinking, oh yes, because I'm not important, and he shouldn't be doing that. But I think it's more like thinking like, oh, wait a minute, what do I need here? Right? Oh, I need to hear that someone likes me, that someone wants me, right? Or attention, or kind of like acknowledgement, whatever it is. So don't come with the whip and say, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm asking for that, right? But if you want that, then you call the person and say, I'm calling because I just want to know that this is what it is. So this will counteract the mind of, because attachment has a, a specific aspect of being um, um, dissatisfied, right? You're always dissatisfied. That's why you want more, and you are over exaggerating the qualities. So you're kind of like, oh yes, I need that and all of that. But also, it is coming from a mind of I'm gonna use a word, but maybe it's not the best word, but poverty, of lack. Yeah, I think the best idea. So it's like lacking something, right? That is what is kind of like the idea of what it seems that people are kind of like lacking. Oh, so it's lacking something. So I need something or someone to give it to me, right? And you just kind of like realize that, and then you say, wait a minute, I'm actually quite a nice person. I'm very kind. I'm always this. You start to have a good sense of self, right? Because that is coming normally when you're, it's not so much of so much of attachment to your nephew or niece. It's more about of actually a low self-esteem. That's where it comes, that. And the low self-esteem comes from a wrong view of who we actually are. So that's when, for me, Buddhism goes way ahead of any different religion or spiritual path, because then you can think about your Buddha nature, your potential to become a Buddha. If you remember that, then there's nothing lacking in there, right? There's only dormant potential, right? It's just like, oh, yes, actually, if I am able to become a Buddha, I can manifest in many ways to help my nephew, my niece, and I can help them to be free from suffering, and I can help this person and that person. And you start to thinking about others, right? How you can help others, how you can do for others, or this. Then that lack, that wish for this person to call, gone, appear. Make sense? Yes? Okay. Okay, online people, if not, we're gonna do dedications. Wow, today I did prayers and motivation and dedication. I'm a very good monk today. So dedication means that, as I said, we were planting a seed. Okay, so intention is planting the seed. It's like deciding which seed we want to plant. That's what intention means, right? We were deciding which seed. I want to have this seed or that seed, and then we open the kind of like the hole in the ground, and then we put the seed. Then we nourish it by saying all of these things. Oh yes, I can do that, I can do that. But then if we just leave it there, then it can burn because of the sun, it can get too much water because of the rain, or it can burn or it can get eaten by the the birds and all of that. So to make sure that that intention and everything that we nourish will go towards the right direction that we want, the result that we want, we need to seal it. That's what dedication does. Dedication reminds ourselves of our intention, so we can make sure that after we have done what we just done, we can continue bringing that benefit, that positive circumstance, the positive energy that we created, again, continuing. Make sense? And not just stops here and it's like, okay, we just 1.5 hours, I'm very good, and now I can just be attached or be angry or whatever. So that's the idea. So that's what we're gonna do. So everything that we've heard, everything that we said, everything that we kind of like discussed, may all of these be able to accomplish our goal of becoming a Buddha, of becoming an enlightened being, so we can have all the necessary skills, wisdom, and compassion to benefit others, so they can also be free from their suffering and achieve lasting peaceful happiness. So we're going to do these prayers with that intention to continue using everything that we've done, everything that we said, everything that we like discussed, not only here, not only now, but in everything that we do in our daily lives, with whoever we encounter in our daily lives, either our friends, our family, our enemies, and especially those that we don't even know. So in order to remind ourselves for that, we're going to do these prayers. Okay? Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too, such things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone over 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. Can we do the one from Shantideva, please? No idea which. 296, try. No, 296, no, 246.
340.
No, maybe not. Yes, there you go. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food, the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find no, may the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. In this way, we dedicate all of the suffering in the world, all of the wars, conflicts, all of the financial problems, all of the um, ecological problems, all of the problems that we are having, political problems, everything which comes from not understanding, and training our minds, may all of these be eliminated from our merits. And of course, we would not even know about these things, because the Buddha appeared 2,600 years ago. But we are able, 2,600 years later, to be able to learn about these tools and learn about these methods, these trainings, due to the kindness of our teachers. It's just to their effort, their compassion, their wisdom that we are here. So because of that, we make strong prayers, especially for the long and healthy life of the Dalai Lama, who is the beacon of light and compassion and wisdom in the world, not only for Buddhists, but, for the entire humanity. Kind, warm-hearted person. So we do the prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And because this center only exists, well, due to the kindness of all the volunteers, all the directors, the founder, and all of these, but especially due to the kindness of our personal teachers, Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And especially, Rinpoche showed the aspect of passing away 2 years ago. So we want Rinpoche to continue coming back and teaching us and guiding us, helping us to train our minds. So we ask for his swift return. That's why we do these prayers. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Akas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Lojong father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings due through explanation and practice, you wear the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And we just finish by dedicating for the center Thubten Kunga Ling to be able to always continue having all the necessary resources, especially the necessary people, to continue making it possible for a place like this, you know, in Deerfield, in Florida, in the United States, in the world to exist. A place where people can learn, can contemplate, can meditate about ways to benefit others and to find happiness. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.